Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we got the SR3 Command Series rake from ABI Attachments. I was going to give probably somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 200 hours of hard use, just driveways. I've hit stumps with it, hit rocks with it, you know, just a lot of abuse. And I was going to show you a few things that I've been able to tear up on it and kind of tell you how I did it and how tough this thing is. So I'm going to show you these first. If you come over here and look at they call this the comb, the finishing comb. And as you can tell, I've had a few different spots that have got a few stories behind them. This is just from grading, that ain't really a story. But if you see these bolts missing, right in here I was pushing dirt forward, because you can push quite a bit of dirt forward. And as I was pushing, there was a stump in the ground that I didn't know of. And when I hit it, it dead stopped the machine and it sheared these two bolts off. So I just robbed one from down there on the other end, took that one out and put it on this end and got through, and I've actually been using it that way for probably 20-30 hours. But how I damaged most of this is when you are using it, you'll pull forward and roll it all the way over, and this comb is straight up and down. And when you back up, it's like you can pull weeds and little saplings and brush. It's kind of like a big rake. You're not combing it, you're actually sticking it in the ground and ripping stuff out. And sometimes that's how they're the most, if you're just pulling at it like this, you're not going to bend it. I'm actually laying it over and you can hit something and bend one of those fingers. So that's how these has happened on all this. But if you come around to this side and you look, this is actually called your box scraper part. These, as you're going forward, they'll collapse and let you plow dirt forward. And when you go to back up, they hit the backstop and they start to rake material back. Well, this has a backstop. This little edge don't. And as you can tell, these have hit rock and different things. So either they need to be kind of stiffened up a little, or, you know, maybe not even need them. I know they're trying to keep from leaving windrows, I guess, and keep the material hemmed up. But that's a kind of a weak point that I've hit, and I really don't know how you get around that. But I'll go to the other side. The other side's the same way. It does the same thing when you're back dragging. That slams and actually combs and rakes the rock and roots. But these seem to get bent very easily. The next part to this rake is these rippers. And this is activated. If you hook this one up, I've got my tilt hitch hooked up right now. But if you hook it up, you've got, I think it's 8 or 9 of these rippers, and they hydraulically, they'll go down like 7 or 8 inches and they'll rip the soil. And when you're trying to relieve compaction and stuff, that's where this comes in. Now, if you'll look underneath here and get a straight shot at it, you can see that these are kind of bent. And this one in particular, what happened, I had it all the way down and was ripping. Again, a stump is your enemy on these things. As I come across the stump hit right here, and it just knocked them apart like that. They kind of went back and it ain't really hurt anything, but you know, I did bend these two like that. One's bent one way, but it still functions, still rips, so I don't try to get a new one. But there's a good view. These kick back as you're raking, and they'll rake, that's probably 3 inches or something, and it'll actually pull like a box scraper on a tractor. You can gather dirt, material, and something neat about those is they're attached. If you can get in here and lift this bar right here, that's how they're attached. You take this adjustment and this pin right here. When you get this pin out, you can set it where this bar is above the pins or below. This one, while it's below, when I sit this on the ground, this will bump stop and it'll make that dig in the ground better. If I want it to just barely comb, I'll take this and raise it up, and that'll let, when I sit it down, it'll be able to come up farther. If it hits that stop, it's going to dig better and actually grade material. But right now, the way I have it set, it's about the way I use it all the time. With gravel, I've noticed you want it up here where it's not nothing but just some weight on it. You don't want it forced in place with these pins. when you're doing gravel, because it'll want to gather all your gravel stuff. But this thing is built like a tank, and we've got, like I said, probably 200 hours on it. And how I'm running it right now, I've got a tilt hitch. So I've got my hydraulics unhooked from this, but I've got my tilt hitch on there. So you can lay your rake to the left or to the right. You can lean it, like doing a swell or uneven territory or something. You can lean the rake down and rake differently, and I really like that tilt action on it. But the only other thing that I've had happen, shows how tough it is this here. What happened was, I had this unhooked from the machine, and while it was unhooked from the machine, I was backing up. I hooked to my bucket and was going to turn. I backed up, and this wheel, this big bar, it pins and goes in right here. So you kind of got training wheels to keep you from digging in so much. Well, these wheels were pinned on there, and when I hit it, it bent this rim, and I ran it for a while, and they're foam-filled tires, but I ran it for a while, and it wallered the bolt holes out of it. So I took the wheels off. The other wheel, it's bent a little. You can see I've hit some stuff with it. The wheels are basically, as you're a beginner, it keeps you from, when you grade forward, you can actually grade forward with this, and you can see some of my videos. You can use it to push material and then pull material back. When you're grading forward, this right here kind of digs, and these wheels that keep you from, like in soft places, getting sucked down in the ground. You can kind of just cut smaller amounts. Well, what I've noticed having the wheels off the last little while, you can cut better, but you got to be a little smoother. You got to have a good feel for your hydraulics. If not, this right here will just suck down in the ground and cause a low place. So once you've learned and mastered it, you don't even really need these. But I'll probably get me some new ones, because, you know, working in gravels and different things, I'll probably end up needing it. Well, I've went through a few things on what I tore up on it, but in closing, if I had to ask myself, would I buy this again? I'd have to say I would. It was $60-some hundred, I think, with shipping and everything. Harley rakes, or power rakes people calls them, they were somewhere around 10 to 11,000. So what I like about this one is the simplicity of it. I mean, and I've been rough on it. You can just, there's just not really a lot of wear pieces. I've put these through heck, and they're still fine. I mean, there's a couple of them bent, but it's just a big hunk of steel with a few hydraulic hoses. So, you know, I guess what I would say the best compliment to give them is I'd buy it again. I would spend my money again. And when you're going to prep for grass seed, relieve compaction, and try to get a soil bed prep for any kind of grass sowing, you know, fescue or anything, like this right here is the only way to do it. You can relieve compaction with the rippers, finishing comb, and you got a box scraper in the back. So if anybody out there is looking for one or wants to ask me any questions, go ahead and comment down below. Ask me anything you want about it, or if you want to see it doing something. The only thing I've not got to do with it and film it is grade driveways, and really I ain't used it a lot, because I use my bucket and my tilt function here on my tilt hitch, because I'm usually packing gravel and spreading them, so I don't use this a lot. But if I've got potholes and stuff, I have used it to rip up potholes. I'll try to get some footage of that, and don't forget to comment and hit the like button and maybe subscribe. It helps the channel. Thank you.